piercings required here on the Audio Hoo-Mons, but we do require your lobes to be in the open and upright position so you can hear this great show. I'm Alex. This is
Brian.
And you are listening to Audio Hoo-Mons, the premier Star Trek Deep Space Nine fan podcast. This is where two dudes, one being Brian, who knew about the show and caught it when he could, but he was on deployment in the military back in the day, and he didn't really get to eat, sleep, and drink it like Alex, did. Now we're watching it again, and we're talking about it from the perspective of a newbie and a veteran guy. And we're so thrilled you're back with us on this episode. We don't want to miss a thing when this episode begins because we're going to be talking about Armageddon game.
Armageddon, yes.
In just a moment. Hey, Brian, real quickly, I was just going to say that got some nice download action off of our past two episodes, the Red Alert episodes discussing what we left behind, the Star Trek Deep Space Nine official documentary.
Right, a brief hiatus from the episode.
Kind of nice to be freed from having to discuss an episode. Not that there's anything wrong with having to discuss an episode, but it was just kind of nice to talk about something fresh and new, even though that fresh and new thing was all about old things.
You're right, and it's a bit of a mid-season break, right? Because we're at or past the halfway point, I think, aren't we?
Oh my gosh, are we there really? I mean, we're on. This is episode second season 13, so we are. My God, you nailed it. We are on the halfway mark for season 2. You're always so good with this stuff. Yeah, and it's exciting. We're gonna get a Rick Colby directed episode, story by Morgan Gendel. Teleplay with Morgan and Ira Stephen Bear and James Crocker. We're going to get to that in just a moment. I wanted to just take a quick moment. You know, we try not to wear the listeners out every time saying, please visit us on Facebook, please tweet us, please write us a review, please give us your money, please buy a t-shirt. Although, you really ought to look at the t-shirts and the mugs and the travel cups and the bags. I mean, you got to see this logo that Brian designed, man. I mean, you got to get a piece of the Mox. You know, you gotta.
Yes, and it will be the envy of any, Trek group. Would just absolutely be envious of.
Well, was it Sean and Jeff who we interviewed for the Deep Space Nine in Kansas City for the documentary? As soon as they saw my shirt, they were just laughing and going, "Oh my God, I get one of those!"
That was the icebreaker. Yeah.
If you're looking at it and going, these are pricey. Now we understand that like the kind of the cheapest T-shirt is like $16 something like that. That's as low as it goes, at least for now. We're looking for other places to put our merch that might be a little cheaper, but we don't want to give you crap merchandise that you don't want to wear. And I don't really like the cheap T-shirts because they're scratchy and they don't seem to age well in the washer. So the tri-blend that you and I wear, that was like 20 something bucks. But I want to tell you guys something though. Look, if you're like, I don't want to do that, or that's a lot of money, and I get that because money's tight everywhere, and money's too tight to mention. But I will say this. I have a special deal for you, and I've put that in the comments section, typically under every time I post something about new gear, and that's your first order, you save $10 with my code. So you could probably get a shirt and a mug and maybe some stickers and still save $10 on it. So it kind of works out where you'll basically get one of those items almost free.
Sure. Or find a friend. You can always. Yeah. It's a great giftable as well.
Yeah, and gift season's just 6-7 months away. But remember,
some people have birthdays or
some people do. I hear most people do.
Yeah, the ones that don't. Yeah.
Some people have birthday. I love that. So we've said this before. We're not doing this for our egos. If you buy a shirt, not only does it promote the show and give you an opportunity to kind of talk about it, even if you want to talk about it ironically with your friends going, yeah, it's this crappy podcast I listen to, but what the hell? I don't care what you say about it. But the point is we get a piece of the profits of that, and that helps us pay to keep the show hosted and for a little bit of advertising here and there and to develop new things and some equipment, things like that for when these microphones finally wear out and that kind of stuff. So the link is in the show notes. I'll say no more about that.
Very good.
But I want to do one last thing.
Okay.
You remember when we gave away our first prize? It was to Tim from Florida, and he got the autographed Armin Shimmerman as Quark photo, although it was not autographed.
It was autographed by us.
But hey, and we haven't heard from Tim since. I don't know if he's still following.
He was offended. No.
But we'd love to give out another prize, and we've got one. And by the way, there's two things. You can send us stuff for the prize vault out of your collection you want to get rid of, like our good friend Mike Finney. who sent us a great book that we will probably re-gift to one of you lucky winners soon. But we have another gift, and we're not going to say what it is, but here's what you got to do to be eligible to win. We've told you before, on your smartphone, record a message, like a 30-second, 45-second message, your first name, where you live, and blah, blah, blah. Well, here's what we want you to do. If you want to be eligible for this prize, we're not going to just give it to anybody on the Facebook page. We're going to be like, you got to want it. So what you got to do, if you want to be eligible for this prize, which could have a value exceeding $5, it'll be mailed to you, the winner, who we're going to look to get 4 or 5 people, hopefully 5 people, to get on their smartphone, record a message, 30-second message, their name, where they're from, and just say what your favorite episode of DS9 is, and send it our way, and we'll use it on the show. And Brian and I will pick, if they're all kind of the same, we'll just draw a number out of a hat. But if one of them's like exceedingly funny or tickles us the most, we'll pick that person, and we will get a hold of you through the Facebook page, and we will send you the gift. It's a Trek related gift. I'm holding it actually right now. It's right here. Brian sees it. We're not going to tell you what it is. It's something I can mail to you, and we
will pay postage as well.
You don't have to pay anything. You just That's
this is a gift, a free gift for being a one of our treasured fans.
Treasured. That is the truth. And if you want to get in on sending us something for the prize vault, by the way, we put this on the About page on the Facebook page all the time, but here's our P.O. Box. If you want to send us something for the prize vault, simply send it to Audio Hoo-Mons, care of AGPR, P.O. Box 902119, Kansas City, Missouri 64190. And just like Mike Finney did. Finney. I love that drop in. That's right out of the original series. If you don't know what that is, folks, get on the Facebook page and tell us, and we'll tell you what that is sometime. But that's for our good friend Mike Finney, friend of the show, who has not only sent us a great prize to give away, but he's supported us financially here and there when he could, and he's always
so active on social media, liking and retweeting and sharing.
But right. You know what he also does sometimes? He just responds to posts and says sweet things. It makes us feel good.
That is nice. That is nice.
I like that guy a lot. I don't even know that guy, and I like that guy a lot. We're gonna have to have him on the show if he wants to someday. We're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Right,
that'd be a lot of fun.
That's assuming though we survive Armageddon game.
Yes, quite an interesting episode. I think we start out on a space station circling a planet. I can't remember the name of the planet. Do you?
They're aboard.
Alex,
they're actually aboard a Talani cruiser.
Okay.
And they're helping the Talani and the Kellerans eliminate their stockpile of harvesters.
Harvesters, which are a biogenetic weapon. And so they've Miles and Dr. Bashir are on this vessel, and they're trying to find ways to completely dismantle these harvesters. And the first thing that really struck me, Alex, you think about things that are going on in modern time, and if they continue to progress the way the path they're on, then we may face a similar problem as the Talani face. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the progress of the man bun. Their hair. I mean, we're on that path, Alex. I'm telling you, if we don't do something to stop.
I don't think you're in danger of the man bun, my friend.
I am not.
And I frankly think I'm not either. But it's a point well made. I actually thought that there might be an issue with somebody having something about Mary hair, but but I think it's one of them. I think one of the races has the man bun gone completely horribly wrong.
That's 400 years of man bun progress.
Right, and then the other ones have like the kind of the something about Mary hair sticking out of odd angles.
Okay, so just a strange piece of trivia, as we make fun of them mercilessly. This episode was actually nominated for an Emmy for hairstyling. I swear to you, it is true.
Was that a slow year? I just
I guess. But anyway, yeah, that's the truth.
It
So
is the truth, and the deadly biomechanical gene disruptors got nothing on the hairstylist here. It's the invasion of the Aquanet. So
yeah, okay. So we digress as oft we do. So after now a week, trial number whatever 1060 that
right, they successfully turned the barbecue Pringles into the sour cream and onion
into
Pringles.
the sour cream and onion.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, and I'm assuming someone with red-green colored blindness has no idea what we're talking about, that they just watched the episode. So it turns from red to green, just giving you that nice visual indicator that that things are all good now. And so they start destroying all the vessels,
because you can't stop once you pop.
Exactly. So they're destroying all these things, and then they're down to the last vessel. They pop it down, and then some terrorists hop onto the vessel and start
shooting up the
shooting.
joint. Yeah,
they're just trying to kill
Miles.
Literally
springs
kill
into
everyone.
action as best he can. Jeez,
as does Bashir.
He hides well at first. They both hide really well.
Yes.
But Miles does a roll. He managed to get a gun and kind of does this really. I can see why Colm Meaney didn't do a lot of his own stunts. He's just about as graceful as a sack of potatoes. But
yeah.
We're not making fun. We are making fun, but we don't mean
we are just a little bit.
Yeah.
But Bashir gets a hold of a weapon as well. Actually fights away a weapon that was supposed to shoot Miles, ends up hitting the machine that was destroying the
Pringles,
the harvester destroyer.
Right.
Unfortunately, it hadn't destroyed that last can.
Right.
There were some crumbs left.
Yes.
And something drips onto Miles. So they try to beam off back onto their runabout. They're not able to do that. Everything's the communications are being disrupted. So instead they're able to beam down to the surface. So they beam down to the surface, and they're there hiding out for a bit. We don't know what's going on at this point.
Right.
But shortly afterward, we're back on Deep Space Nine, and the Talani communicate with Captain Sisko and let him know that they died. There was some sort of malfunction. They triggered some security device that creates some kind of radiation burst that completely evaporates people instantly. And of course they have a little USB with the video tracking on it, and sure enough they show them, they're sitting there, and 1 second something seems to be going wrong, and then poof, they're evaporated. So now Sisko has the unenviable task of notifying next of kin. Now, before we get too much further, I did want to say, I don't want to talk about notifying next of kin. Thank God, in my military service, I was never required to do that. However, I want to call bullshit just a little bit.
Oh, really? Why?
So these harvesters, this biogenetic weapon, it drips on you, and how long does it take for you to die? At least a couple days, it seems like 2-3 days. So during that time, you're now able to continue to fight, and then you die. don't you think that a more dangerous weapon is this apparent radiation weapon that completely evaporates you instantaneously? Wouldn't that be a technology you would want to frickin' get rid of before these harvesters? I mean,
Yeah.
so if you could get rid of chemical weapons
Yeah.
or the nuclear bomb, which would you choose first? If you could eliminate from the planet all
Is this a rhetorical
ability to
question,
make
or
a weapon. It's a semi-rhetorical question. It just speaks to it. It just seems like a strange choice that they would have. They're focused on these bioweapons, but still have readily available technology to just evaporate people instantly.
well, but the average phaser can evaporate people instantly. If you outlaw phasers, only outlaws will have phasers.
Yeah,
You can pry it out of my cold,
like
dead man bun if you wish. That's going to be a new show, by the way. Man bun PR.
Yes. The only thing to stop a bad guy with a phaser is a good guy,
Good
with,
guy
a
with a
phaser.
phaser. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, okay. So they're down on the planet. People at DS9 assume that they're dead. So they're down on the planet, and they're divvying up the rations. They find this
you mean
communication.
O'Brien and Bashir are
Correct.
on the planet? Okay, yeah. I just wanted to clarify.
They're down on the planet. Bashir is about to open up a thing of rations.
He's going to open a can.
O'Brien stops him,
Right.
knowing that a lot of those things in wartime are booby trapped, and so he scans it, makes sure it's safe. They open it up, and then Miles isn't hungry, which is a little strange. I mean, he's had obviously, I guess, Talani food, maybe not to his liking taste wise,
Right.
but he's also wise enough to know that you have to keep your energy up. So you would think he would.
He likes survival rations, but then he says Federation ones, not
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
and that's what he says. I've had too much of this tandoori chicken or Tulani chicken or whatever. That's probably what it was. He probably spent an hour in the waste extraction room dealing with that Tulani chicken.
Yes.
He's just like, oh, Keiko!
Okay, so the comedy stylings of Alex and Brian.
Sorry. All right, sorry. Let's get on with it.
Oh, okay. So, well, it's at this point that, and I think Miles is trying to starts trying to fix a communication device,
Right.
and he grabs a coat. He's cold, and that's when Bashir realizes he's sick. So he scans. Bashir scans Miles and realizes he's indeed, even though he didn't get killed on the Talani vessel, he's got the ills. He's got the got the harvester ills.
He's got the harvester blues, man.
Yeah, and so he's dying. It's, I guess, apparently it's slowly doing something to his genetic makeup, and he's going to die soon. How many times does in the series? How many times does Miles have one of these near-death experiences?
The misery that is the life of Miles Edward O'Brien is like at least a dozen episodes. There's a graphic I found. I posted it recently on Twitter, and it's just the guy. But I think there was a joke in the writers' room later, like let's torture Miles O'Brien this week with something new. He goes.
He's like always the red shirt guy.
Always, but he's like the red shirt guy who lives. He's like, you know what I mean? He's just like
zombie.
Yeah. At least in the original series, they had the decency to let the red shirt guys die and suffer and die. Right. But no, he suffers and lives. And we don't just mean being married.
Yeah, there is some interesting banter down on the planet. Miles, his health starts deteriorating, so he now he can't see, so he has to talk Bashir through repairing this communication device.
Which is fortunate that Julian had his Federation engineering extension courses back at the academy.
Yes, that's right. I mean, fortunate for both of them, I think that O'Brien has apparently, a fairly photographic memory of things and just how they work, and very patient, which is maybe a little uncharacteristic, but I guess since his life depended on it, very patient, walking through all the steps required
Right.
to make this thing
Calling
work.
him
Yeah.
Julian, by the way, quite a bit in this episode.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't. Yeah, and there's some personal talk about what Dr. Bashir gave up, the love of his life, in order to stay in Starfleet. A little back and forth about the importance of marriage, and how much, despite differences, how much Miles and Keiko get along, and the adventure that is married life. I related closely to that. Meanwhile, back at Deep Space Nine, Sisko has to tell Keiko about the loss of her husband. She the way she takes it,
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting probably a little more emotion, but she was, and maybe after the Cardassian Wars, or were they married during that time in his career?
You remember they got married on the Enterprise.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
TNG,
so,
yeah.
but he's been, back in dangerous situations often, so it's
Right.
not like it's completely unexpected. But as I don't think any spouse truly expects it. But she stoically wants to review the tapes. She wants to see her husband die. I found that a little bit strange. I don't know anyone who would want to see that. That
seemed
seemed
a
little peculiar,
Yeah.
and peculiar of the Federation to release that type of video to a spouse. That just doesn't seem that would normally occur. But regardless, she gets the tape, she reviews it, she finds out, she notices that he's drinking coffee at 3:30 in the afternoon, and
Which he does not
he
do.
knows himself well. She is assured herself that this must be an altered tape. One interesting scene is where Dax and Kira are talking about Julian, and how he had given Dax his personal diaries, and she hadn't bothered to read them.
Well, do you blame her? I mean,
I don't know. I would think if someone shared something that personal, that you would at least have the decency to either give it back or read it.
well,
One of
she
the
was
two.
probably eventually going to.
She was, yeah, I'm sure she was. She thought she was planning to, but it just seemed awkward. It reminded me. So, a sad story. You need to put some violins in the background. When I was stationed in Germany about this time, I was actually married at the time, and as I was sent to Germany, I was actually expecting to just be in a National Guard unit, but I was deployed to Germany unexpectedly, and it was unexpected to my wife at the time, and she was none too pleased with the entire situation. And but to try to keep the home fires burning, I sent her a letter daily.
Wow.
When I was there, I've usually something small, postcard or just a short letter. Hey, I miss you. I'm thinking about you. Think about this, and sent them to her. When I returned from deployment, I discovered that vast majority of the letters were returned to me unopened. They were just all handed to me. So,
like it was your fault you got deployed? Really?
But kind of what I thought of when
that's not right.
Between Dax and Bashir. So the fact that they never really have a romantic relationship is probably for the best. I'll just put it that way.
Wow, that's
So
heavy,
anyway,
man. I don't think I fully knew that story. Maybe I did, but I didn't remember that.
yeah. So
Sorry, man. That's
sorry,
rough.
just opening old wounds. That's
No, but
okay.
that's
This
what
episode,
that's what this show is about, my friend.
right? Yeah, there you go.
It's what we left behind. That's what we're discussing here.
Yeah, interesting. So
Interesting. Yeah. So fast forward.
fast forward.
There's-
So here we are.
The ambassador, they go to DS9 to give their condolences and all that. They did that already, but then Miles and Julian are down there and they're starting to figure some shiz out. Like, maybe we can survive just long enough till they find us, and then what happens?
Well, now
The ambassador,
Cisco and Dax have to go retrieve the runabout.
right? The Ganges, was that the Ganges?
The Ganges. So they'll use that because they had talked to Keiko. They'll use that as an opportunity to explore and see if something's amiss. And so they're now in orbit.
And they find an erase log in the Ganges computer that reveals that the transport request was made 3 minutes after the failsafe device went off, proving they were still alive at the time. So Keiko was right.
Right.
And
then down on the
O'Brien's
planet,
hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Go ahead. Sorry.
right. Yeah. So down on the planet, they finally get the communication device. And all along, they had thought their belief was that you had the Talani and the